Such as it is.
Hey, Richard. Richard. Come here.
We should be live. We should be live now.
All right. When you got your promotion years ago, I wrote you a sorry. And I meant to bring it if I thought you would be here. I brought it. Good evening. Welcome to the Thursday, March 4th meeting of the Ashburn City Council. Appreciate everybody being here. We are still under COVID protocol, and Linda Carter is on the phone from home. Ms. Carter, are you with us?
Yes, sir.
Thank you very much. Good to have you here tonight in spirit. We have visitors out in the hallway, and we are observing social distancing and mask, and trying to be as safe and cautious as we can. If you will, at this point, stand and join me in a moment of silent meditation. I invite you to pray in any manner that you are comfortable, and we will follow that with the Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. As we move into our meeting tonight, I'd like to welcome the guest. I have a couple of things I'd like to mention as we get started. It was a year ago, coming up Saturday, I believe, a year ago that Randolph Hospital went into bankruptcy proceedings to try to save the hospital, and that was a planned bankruptcy. And here we are a year later, still waiting to have that play out. There have been lots of twists and turns, and at this point, we are waiting the county, who would be the applicant for the rural health care stabilization money that was approved by the legislature. The county is waiting to hear from the state UNC Healthcare and the local government commission on the application for that $20 million capital loan. So right now we still have not heard, and could come any time, any day now. Wanted to update you on that, and it has been a year now since we went into the COVID lockdown. We've had a lot of twists and turns in the COVID navigation. Lots of City Hall here is still closed to the public. A lot of our departments and programming has been altered, some canceled, some various things. As we have negotiated and navigated the COVID world we live in, we found it necessary to protect our mission-critical people, firemen, policemen, public works people that do the day-to-day service for citizens. It's unfortunate that we've had to make some changes, most notably canceling the Christmas parade and not being able to have the Christmas on Sunset and the summer concerts and many things that the citizens look forward to. So we'll keep our fingers crossed now that there are 3 vaccines coming through, and many of us are being able to get vaccinated, and over the next few months many more will be vaccinated, and maybe we can reach the point of a herd immunity, which will make it a lot safer and practical to reopen and go back to what we hope will be some semblance of a normal life that we remember from before. We'll just keep our fingers crossed, and in the meantime, I encourage the citizens that are watching tonight on YouTube to be vigilant, wear your mask, wash your hands, stay distanced, and just try to be as safe as you can. And sooner or later, we'll get through this. So our first business item on the agenda, I'd like to call on Mr. Steve Hackett, CPA with the firm William R. Honeycutt CPA, to present our audit report for the fiscal year 1920. Mr. Hackett, come on forward.
Good evening. Glasses keep fogging up. So. Do y'all have a copy of your financial statements with you? And also, there's a spreadsheet that I think Ms. Reeves had probably handed out with that. It might make it a little easier to follow.
We do have the spreadsheet.
Okay. For the year ending June 30, 2020, as in the past, the city has received an unmodified opinion on its financial statements, or a clean audit, as we call it. On page 21 of the financial statements, the data from that page is also on the spreadsheet titled Comparative Balance Sheets Governmental Funds. This statement is an overall view of the financial position of the city and its governmental funds at June 30, 2020. The line item unrestricted cash and cash equivalents of $17,955,130 for all governmental funds decreased $3.3 million, or 15.7% from last year. The restricted cash of $6,102,251 increased a little over $4 million, 226% from last year. Now, a majority of the decrease in unrestricted cash and the increase in restricted cash is because of the transfer of funds from the general fund of $4.5 million to the Zoo City Sportsplex Project Fund. Sorry, I'm going to do this so I can see. For future construction for the Zoo City Sportsplex. Restricted cash consists of amounts restricted by grantors and contributors for specific projects or expenditures. On page 33 in the notes, there is a listing of all the restricted cash and what it's restricted for, if you want to see the detail of that amount. Overall, the total cash for all governmental funds increased $884,088, or 3.8% from last year. General fund portion of cash and cash equivalents, which includes restricted cash, decreased $3.2 million, or 15% from last year. Your taxes receivable increased 34.8% due to an increase in the tax levy in 1920 and tax collections of 6% from the prior year. The accounts receivable increased 8.7% from last year. The due from other governments item, which includes sales tax receivable, utilities franchise tax receivable, franchise tax receivables, grant receivables, etc., stayed relatively stable from last year with an increase of just a little over 1%. The notes receivable balance of $1,022,608 includes amounts loaned to developers of the Ashburn Mill Loss and Sunset Place Apartments for low-income housing. The next section down, liabilities and fund equity, the accounts payable and accrued liabilities line item for all governmental funds of $2,053,302 increased a little over $765,000, or 59% from last year. Total liabilities for all governmental funds increased $606,496, or 28% from last year. The section below that, total fund balance for all governmental funds of $25,542,618 increased from prior year a little over $287,000, or 1.1%. This also includes the general fund. The general fund portion of fund balance of $19,297,709 had a decrease for the year of $3.7 million or 16%, and the amount available for appropriation, which you won't see on your financials, is a statute calculated amount of $15,447,630 is 44% of your current year expenditures, which is well above the 8% that the local government commission likes to see. Now, the prior year, the city's fund balance available was 68% of expenditures. The transfer that you did to the Sioux City Sportsplex, along with a 10% increase in general fund expenditures overall, caused this amount available to drop from 68 to 44%. Now, on page 22 of the financials is the revenues and expenditures for all governmental funds. Total governmental fund revenues of $31,170,743 increased a little over $217,000, or just a little bit under 1% from last year. There was a 5.4% increase in the ad valorem tax collections and a decrease in restricted revenues. This caused a slight increase in revenues as a whole. General fund revenues of $30,720,519 increased a little over $689,000, or 2.3% from last year. The total governmental fund expenditures of $31,805,461 increased a little over $3 million, or 10.6% from last year. And this is also due to an increase because of the increase in expenditures and capital outlay in the Airport Improvements Project Fund, and also some expenditures in the Sioux City Sportsplex Project Fund. The Recreation Department for the new Recreation Center has some costs which carried over into 1920, and the Police Department and the Fire Department had also some capital outlay expenditures during the year. General fund expenditures of $30,883,310 increased a little over $2 million, or 9.8% from last year. Now, on page 25 in the financials, the next spreadsheet that you have labeled Comparative Statements of Net Position Proprietary Fund. This is a statement of net position for the Water and Sewer Fund. This statement is an overall view of the financial position of the city's Water and Sewer Fund at June 30th, 2020. Unrestricted cash and cash equivalents of $11,303,654 decreased a little over $166,000, or a little over 1% from last year. Accounts receivable decreased 7.4% from last year. Now, due from other governments decreased significantly due to the receipt of some amounts due to the city from the FEMA for the Hurricane Florence a couple years ago. The inventories for the Water and Sewer Fund decreased slightly from last year. Your capital assets, net of depreciation, of $41,319,157 decreased due to depreciation on your capital assets being more than the capital assets you purchased during the year. The accounts payable and accrued liabilities of $881,345 increased a little over $199,000, or 29.3% from last year. Your total amount of compensated absences, which is the vacation and comp time that's accrued for the employees, both current and long-term, decreased 3.2% from last year. Total notes payable, which includes your current and long-term portions, decreased $469,364, or 10.4% from last year. The net pension liability of $1,645,427 represents the city's portion of the state local government employees retirement system amount, and that's your portion at June 3rd, 2020. The total OPEB liability amount of $369,635 is higher from last year due to the estimated amount that will be needed to provide health benefits to the retirees once they retire. Overall, the Water and Sewer Fund's total liabilities increased $367,503 or 3.2%. The total net position for the Water and Sewer Fund decreased $1,961,864 from last year. On page 26 in your financials, in the last spreadsheet, is a statement of revenues and expenditures and change in fund net position for Water and Sewer Fund. Total operating revenues of $12,274,138 decreased $428,000 or 3.3% from last year. Expenses of $14,431,207 increased a little over $470,000 or 3.3% from last year. The majority of this was an increase in water maintenance and billing collections departments from the overall increase in just regular operating costs, and also some cost increase associated with retirement and post-employment benefits. This created a net operating loss of $2,157,069. Overall, your total net change in position was a reduction in water sewer fund of $1.9 million for the year. Given the pandemic, I think that the city did very well. I think a lot of us were expecting some reduction in sales tax revenues, and I think people adjusted from going to brick and mortar sites to buying online, so your sales tax revenues didn't really get hurt a whole lot. I've been seeing that in a lot of audits I've been doing. Any questions?
Questions of Mr. Hackett?
Are you saying you attribute the increase in the loss due to people's inability to pay?
In which fund, the water and sewer?
Water and sewer, yes.
Well, you had a reduction in revenues because there was a moratorium put out about not being able to collect the penalties. So that would have caused a reduction in some revenues, yes. But I think like most cities, after the moratorium was lifted, you developed a payment plan for the citizens. And I think y'all been working very well with them to try and get them to get caught up.
So we should expect to see that number to increase, to improve as well, improve.
We would hope so.
Over time with the payment plan.
We would hope so. Now you got to understand that.
And the, several factories closed, this time a year ago.
This is true.
Industrial consumption went down. Remember when factories were shut down 2 or 3 weeks? That's in there.
So it's a general loss of revenue from lack of business.
Or just when we had the complete shutdown in March and April, and schools were closed, that shut the whole economy down, basically.
It's a big number. An anomaly is one thing, but it's still a big number.
Mm-hmm.
We sold less water and we had people that couldn't pay for the water they were using. Two key factors.
Correct.
And can't cut them off.
Yep.
But, which we shouldn't, but still we got to address the piper at some point.
Right.
He's still playing, he's coming.
Any other questions for Mr. Hackett? On behalf of the city, let me thank you once again. I think what I hear is that we really enjoy working with you, that you do a good job, and you and Debbie and the finance department work well together. And we look forward to seeing you again next year with a little better news.
Okay, I hope so.
So Mayor, with Mr. Hackett's presentation, that closes fiscal year 19, 20. When Mr. Hackett comes, this state, we produced this document, he gets all that back, he gave you the, all the retirement, post-retirement benefits, he has to get all that, into the system and get, so, it's a long process. I say that only because, this week, tomorrow, or Monday or Tuesday, we will send out the budget worksheets for next year, which is July 1st. So, the Human Resources Department has completed who's going to retire, who's due a step increase, all the personnel things that's sent out to the Finance Department, the department heads, they give us that input. Now we'll do the capital phase, the operations phase of the budget, put it all together, and so the cycle continues. Thank you.
Thank y'all.
Thanks, Steve.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Steve.
Thank you, Ms. Reeves.
And of course, the Debbie and department heads do a great job. It was a strange year. We get about $300,000 a year in late fees. We lost 6 months of that. We have about $8,000 and about 24, mid-20, I think it's 24, maybe 26 customers that are under the HOPE program. You may have heard they went around and signed people that we haven't received payment for. So you can see we've closed the books, but we're still trying to collect, but then we're budgeting for next year too. So been what's the proper word, stressful? I probably use some other words, but it's really a council meeting.
Thank you, John. Another good job. Downtown Ashburn Incorporated Executive Director Rebecca McGee, come on in. You're gonna tell us about our next streetery.
Yes, and I'm going to take off my mask because it will slide down. It's my
That's
son's,
fine.
my 7-year-old son's, because I've lost all mine. Thank y'all for having me tonight. I'm really excited to tell you a little bit about our next event. And I'm going to speak for a moment real quickly, and then I also have a guest that I'd like to introduce and speak about part of the event. So downtown Asheboro in November was successful with our first streetery on November 7th. We did it from 11 to 3 based on the weather, and we had reports of, this is pre-Saturday, pre-COVID Saturday sales. This was, it was Four Saints' actual best Saturday, single Saturday, out of their entire existence other than their events. We've had restaurants that say, anytime you want to do it again, we're down for it. But not only the restaurants that benefited from that, we had the boutiques and the retail places that said the cars parked here, the traffic that stopped, that shopped during that day was a great Saturday sale for them as well. We are doing everything with the restrictions in mind as well as COVID safe. We know that there are still guidelines that we need to follow, and we want to make sure that we do not overextend ourselves. You know, we're still learning a little bit about the restrictions and what's coming forward. So that being said, we did from 11 to 3 in November just based on the weather. However, the city didn't actually pick up the barricades until around 5, and we had several of the restaurants push it as absolutely far as they could because they were just, people were coming and people were willing to eat, and so it was really a great experience. So this time we've decided to do lunch and dinner. We went from 11 a.m. to 9 p.m., which when we made that decision, it was the end of any alcohol sales, and then of course we also had the curfew. We are still maintaining that time. One thing exciting about this is not only are we doing Sunset, but we were able to work really closely with DOT and real quickly actually close Fayetteville as well to help those restaurants, the new bagel company, Four Saints, Magnolias, they can extend out into the street as well. And we were excited to add that. We will be having music, again, all socially distanced items. These are background music. These are not concerts. They are there to enjoy while you eat and enjoy the experience. We've also had several of the retail shops partner together and say, we want to do something that participated. Yes, this is a dining event, but if we can do something that is safe, can we partner together? So the boutiques, 5 or 6 of the boutiques I think we're up at now, have partnered together to create a fashion show, and that will be from 1 to 2. There are going to be 5 individual models from each shop, and they are going to be on a stage away from the crowd. We'll have some seats, but This will be kind of floating, and then we'll start back the music. We've also, outdoor movies are allowed during this COVID and pandemic times. So we partnered with Dusty at the Table to offer a movie at 8 p.m. children's movie. We just got the movie picked. It's going to be Zootopia, if anyone's curious. So we're really excited that it's not only the restaurants that are benefiting, but we've found safe ways to create family activities as well, and to create shop activities for the shops. And we actually had an addition shortly that's not in any of our marketing right now, just because this was added 3 or 4 days ago. And I wanted to invite up Joel to speak a little bit about that, if you will.
And I'll try to be brief, but thank you all. I've lived here in Asheboro for 18 years, and I feel embarrassed that it's my first time being here. I've done a lot of traveling. I went over 120,000 miles the last couple of years. Last year I went 3. So I'm bringing my world to Ashburn. We're bringing a mobile maker space. Normally, the White House asked me back in 2015 to go around the country and coach maker spaces. I'm the guy that helped build the Forge in Greensboro, if you hadn't heard of that. In the first year, we had 16 new companies formed, 9 patents filed, and over 50 people got jobs in the first year. That got me an invitation to the White House. And then I started traveling and seeing the whole country, 35 states, 120,000 miles. Now I'm beyond stir crazy. I can't travel. Greta's driving me nuts, and I'm driving her nuts, and we're trying our best to get through this. But I'm having national resources reach out to me and willing to help. And so I'm showing you right now, that is a mobile maker space. That's $60,000 worth of technology in that 15-foot trailer that will be here next Friday at 1 o'clock at Bicentennial Park. All of you are welcome. Anybody there, you're welcome. We are going to have a Government and Business Leader Day, and we're going to have businesses come in and talk about what their current employment needs are and their future needs. We've got a severe problem with our kids making decisions on what their future should be without getting adequate information about what the employer's needs are. And they are making misinformation and aren't spending their thoughts processes in ways that really can impact their families in strong ways. We're going to be teaching people how to use the CNC mills, routers, 3D printers. That's one right there. I'm expecting to get it in the next day or so. Laser cutters. We're going to have 3D pens for young kids to play with the 3D. They can actually make their drawings into a sculpture. And so we're going to try to, I don't know about you, but I'm fed up with the stupid pandemic and all the melancholy and everybody feels so depressed. We got to figure out ways to get past this, and that's why I brought this. We got to make a big move. And so I brought a big tool, and you want a gavel, this will get some big things happening. This is a 50-pound hammer called the Thorminator, and we've had 16,000 people from around the country pick this up and put down their dang cell phones. You want to get kids excited about working with tools, you got to make tools exciting. So I invented this. And I got to show you, I'm real excited, and I hadn't had a chance to tell you yet. We need to talk about it, but I invented the best ever collection jar for Asheboro, and I'm going to show you in a second. But this is some of the equipment. This is the best location. I'm so grateful to John and the city here for thinking and allowing me to do this and trusting me to do this, because I could not find a better location than Bicentennial Park to do a socially distanced, hands-on exposure. And again, having a football field size event, I mean, I'm going to use that whole park. We're going to do blueprint projects where we're going to actually have kids find themselves. I'm going to give them a number. They got to find that number in the park on the blueprint. They got to go there. And if they get there, they're going to have a drone drop a taco on them. Okay? We got to do silly stuff to get them thinking. I'm also going to have 3D printed pancakes out there for them. So these are some of the benefits of this. By the way, I've got handouts here, and if you'd like to review this, pass these around, please. And But yeah, we've got to do some more things to get the economy going. So here's the dates I want to tell you. March 12th is the kickoff at 1 o'clock. I've got 2 news crews coming. You know, Greta, I got to have TV here. So we got 2 news crews coming on Friday, on Sunday, March 14th through the 17th from 1 to 5. We're going to have the technology tailgate party. So we're going to do a series of exhibitions to get so many people aware of it. And we're also going to participate in the streetery from 11 to 4. And then also, which I want your approval on before I commit to it, on this new invention that I didn't anticipate having available. Again, I've got makers around the country working with me. Some friends of mine in Ohio invented the coolest donation jar I have ever seen. They literally put a shop vac in their ceiling, and they put they created a fake UFO, and they created a shop vac, and people put money. They clamored for the chance to put money to see it go up to the spaceship. And so we created one. Look at that thing there. That's this UFO. Guess what that is? That's 2 baby pools that we bought from Lowe's for 20 bucks. And we painted it silver, and we put all kind of lights on it. And we're going to have a fan shoot air through it, and people are going to see their money go up to the spaceship. And so I'm willing to come out that evening, and Dusty already loves the idea, come out that evening when they're watching movies, they get to see the spaceship. So anyway, and again, I'm getting all kinds of support, new fabrics. Jordan Schindler's an old friend of mine. He's given us at least 200 masks to make this thing safe. I've got a licensed drone pilot that's working with us. We've got Forest Scientific working with me, getting the equipment. And we've got even a whole bunch of other support coming at us from Maker Depot Academy. And this guy that invented or makes lyres. I'm not talking politicians, I'm talking LYREs, guitars. Sorry if that's a joke, but anyway. He makes these instruments and flutes and things, and he's going to be there too. We also have some folks that make their own drums, the Japanese drums. They make out of whiskey barrels. So we got all kinds of folks coming here, and tomorrow I'm meeting with Timken. Metals USA is very excited about this, and Randleman is excited about this, so we're getting the word out. This is what I'm sticking my neck out for, that $60,000. I've got to come up with $3,000 a month. I've also got to come up with some insurance. I've got to come up with parking, and when we're not using it, because I don't have enough in my space. And then I'm going to have some high-tech folks to help me. And then, so I'm thinking about $5,000 a month. And and then we're going to get some supplies. That's where we're hoping that UFO will help us uncover some of this. That homeless shelter, if we make that, that'll be about $2,000 in supplies. But that'll be something somebody could actually have. If it's being used right now, that design is a CNC design. And people in all different types of crises have used that. So we're going to make laptop desks. All these kids that have been sheltered at home and are working on their parents' phones and don't have a laptop, a place to work at home. Well, we're going to have a laptop desk. We're going to make drone kits. They'll actually get to make their own drone. And if a kid isn't excited about making their own drone, what do you do with it? So the main thing is, through this is a proven tool. I'm not making this up. This is stuff that happens all over the country. It just happened to happen here yet. And we're able to bring this with wheels. We're not locked into a building. We're able to go anywhere where there's a need and go in any community, Ramseur, Liberty, all these other communities, but the home base will be right here. Why? Because I live here. And I want to see us succeed. So thank you again, and I appreciate your time. I'm sorry I'm a nutbag, but we got to lower the bar to crazy. Elon Musk, if he was doing everything normal, he wouldn't be a billionaire.
All right, Friday, which Friday?
1 o'clock, next 12th.
The 12th at 1 o'clock at Bicentennial Park.
Bicentennial Park. be there, and I'll have TV cameras for you to talk to.
All right, and then on the 20th, you're gonna be uptown for the streetery.
Streetery, but the 14th through, from 1 to 5 on the 14th through the 17th, technology tailgate party, dropping drones, dropping tacos from the sky. The Taco Loco guys is giving me about 40 tacos. So it's gonna be nuts. But
Frozen turkeys.
yeah, better than turkeys.
The frozen turkeys on WKRP.
Yeah. We ought to do something. But yeah, and then a streetery will be for that, and we'll be back in April. And then I'm thinking about running classes on April Fool's Day, because inventors are called fools when they first get started. And then later on, after they make money, they're called geniuses.
Well, I think your efforts are well placed, and I applaud them. As we listen through all the things on the news, one of them keeps getting talked about is student loan debt, and the best way to combat debt is just don't never incur it.
Yeah.
And especially without a plan or especially an anticipated result. We've gotten too far away from learning how to make something.
That's right.
You know, service jobs, tech jobs, usually those are support jobs.
Yeah,
You know, somebody has to have a product to sell,
that's right.
to have an exchange of money,
Yeah,
you know, to buy something, to sell something. That stuff's gotta come from somewhere. And technology is the only way you'll outrun Chinese labor.
that's right.
So,
That's right.
so there you go. I mean, and
Well, and the other thing is, RCC, they can't get anybody to take any of the plumbing classes. And how many of you have trouble getting a plumber?
I don't.
And they're building, they're getting ready to build splash pads in neighboring cities. You know?
Well,
Don't make
Bob
any
Shackelford says his machinist program, you know, which Haas,
Yeah,
Gene Haas has sponsored things down there, has the lowest graduation rate of any program he's got down there, because once they make it to where they can go into industry at apprentice, they're leaving school
yeah,
non-graduated at $50,000 a year.
yeah,
He can't keep them long enough to finish.
that's right.
So, I mean, nothing speaks to man like that. So,
Well, and this is gonna be, this mobile,
are noteworthy.
yeah, and this mobile maker space is gonna be a feeder system to the schools and other things. It's not, if anybody perceives it as competition, they don't really understand what I'm doing. So, but thank you so much, everybody.
Thank you,
And
Joey.
it's an honor being in support of you, and I hope you can all join us. And if you got any ideas, and if you can help me, I'd be quite grateful in figuring out how we can get sponsors and support to cover the cost of this, because again, I probably shouldn't be doing this, but I gotta do something, and I believe in it, and I think, we already have gotten some commitments from some groups, and, I anticipate that it'll happen once more word gets out. Thanks again.
We appreciate your enthusiasm, Joel.
You're welcome. And if you wanna use this to wake some people up, you're welcome to.
Rebecca?
Thank y'all. Yes, thank y'all, and we hope you can, I'm gonna take this off again, I can't talk with it on. We hope you can make it out to the Streetery event, and we're really grateful for your support, previous to this, for the changes that we had to make in Asheboro to make this a possibility. So I just wanna again say thank you for that. It has made a world of difference to these businesses able to do these events, and I just wanna thank you. So please come out, enjoy the day. If I will be there all day long. Streets will be open again by 10 p.m. That is a DOT, on the DOT application. So if you have any questions about the logistics, I'd be happy to answer them. Does anybody have any questions?
Your hours are
11 to 9.
11 to 9.
That's excellent.
Yep.
Very good.
Great.
Thank y'all again. If you have any questions, be happy to answer them. But otherwise, I'll let y'all get to the rest of your council meeting.
Any progress on Uber?
On Uber. I wonder if I could get some here that day. That's how they started in Lexington, is one barbecue festival. They decided to come out, and the person who Ubered made so much money. They said, let me know anytime you have another event. I will be happy. And so we called them every single time.
The one Uber I've had in Asheboro was bringing somebody from High Point.
Uh-huh.
And I was playing with my phone, and I caught one, and it took the ride, and it was getting off going to Amity Hill, and it came and got me.
Yeah.
Long walk home.
Well,
All right, thank you.
thank you.
Mr. Mayor, before Ms. McGee leaves, the exception that allows alcoholic beverages to be sold for outdoor dining does not apply unless the city council actually closes the area in which it's to occur. So we need to have a motion. I believe you have a map that the city manager
Okay.
prepared.
You have a map at your seats, Mayor, to follow
Need a
what the
motion
city
to
attorney
approve the
said.
map as presented.
Now,
At
Mayor,
what time?
Closure?
Mayor, just hang on just a second. We're actually closing Sunset Avenue on this map. That's our street. Okay, the NCDOT has already approved it for
South Fayetteville.
South Fayetteville. So the motion should be to use the map and close Sunset Avenue.
And we'll include Fayetteville just to get the city ordinance taken care of.
There you go.
And you need a time in there. I heard the time.
We'll barricade the street, Mayor, from 08 to 10 p.m., 08 to 10.
So the closure needs to be from 8 to 10.
North Street,
To trade.
north to trade,
North to Trade.
So they can't
Yeah.
turn down there. So trade will be open, but they'll be able to turn the other way.
okay. Okay. Do I have a motion? Mayor, I move we close the Sunset Avenue and the portion of North Street between Sunset and Trade. For
Thank you,
the
Mr.
street
Bell.
event.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Second, Mr. Moffett. Discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Do we need to include Fayetteville Street in, Mayor, I move that we
Actually,
also,
Yeah.
adopt the closure.
Jeff had already said we do.
Yeah.
For the alcohol. Just, your motion is to approve the map, the closures on the map.
that's correct, John.
With your permission, that's how I will interpret the motion in the second.
Yes.
And the vote that is
All right.
effectuate the map.
And the motion carried.
Yes, sir.
Ms. Carter?
Is that correct?
Okay, thank you. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
I'll try to do better.
You're gonna check on the Uber.
I'll check on the Uber, yes, I will.
So, Mayor, we want to thank Rebecca and Joel. Energy and enthusiasm is, the lack of energy or enthusiasm is not one of their problems, so we're glad to have you. Mayor, there are some, while we're here in the public comment period, there are
ready to
some other
start that.
folks out there.
All right, that's next. Thank you, Rebecca. This is the appointed time for the public comment period. Is there anyone in the house that would like to address the council on any items of city concern or business? Anyone? John, do you have anybody out there? Okay.
Somebody comes up, we'll read it.
Moving on the consent agenda. Council, you have in front of you the consent agenda. Is there any item on the consent agenda that you would like to remove for individual consideration? Hearing none, I will entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda as it was presented.
Mayor, I move to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Have a motion by Mr. Burks to approve the consent agenda. Do I have a second?
Second?
Second. Ms. Redding, discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Ms. Carter? Thank you. Consent agenda is approved unanimously. Item 8, Mr. Nuttall, our Community Development Director, I will open a public hearing on case RZ-21-01, and it's regarding zoning ordinance text amendments.
Thank you, Mayor. This is an application that has been filed by the city planning staff to amend portions of the city zoning ordinance as it relates to permissible encroachments into public right-of-way. The last few months, we've been talking about various steps the city can take to encourage and spur investment in the downtown area. This is along those lines. The affected sections within the zoning ordinance include Article 200A, is where new language would be inserted, and I'll share that with you here in a in a few moments. And this would supersede section 304.4 and section 505 of your zoning ordinance within tiers 1 and 2 of the Center City planning area, and that's the traditional central business district and areas adjacent to that. As I told you previously, the city zoning ordinance generally does not allow encroachments into public right-of-ways, which are those areas outside of a street, but within areas that we may have infrastructure or sidewalks. That prohibition is over both city-maintained streets and state DOT-maintained streets. Some of those prohibitions affect canopies, awnings, signage, and other improvements that are related to outdoor dining. As I said, I think back in January, we've seen over the years an increase in the number of requests that would encroach within this public right-of-way, this public space, particularly on Sunset Avenue and within the Central Business District, where the setbacks of existing structures tend to be minimal. And in some cases, those structures are located along and coincide with that public right-of-way line, leaving virtually no space to do improvements on the front of these existing structures. The Asheboro City Code does contemplate improvements that can be made over sidewalk, which could allow encroachments into public right-of-way, but there is a review process and there are standards in place in the city code that address such improvements. Obviously, the city only has jurisdiction over city streets that we maintain, so where we have maximum control over improvements is going to be on streets that the city maintains, but you'll see the language that we propose would permit improvements on state-maintained streets as well, provided the state provides authorization for such improvements. Our intent of this amendment is to ensure that the zoning ordinance doesn't conflict with other provisions of the city code, but more importantly, that it is thoughtful in how we handle investments in the historic core of the city. And currently, like I said, we have some obstacles to that investment occurring, particularly in the center city area. At the planning board level, there was some discussion about how other jurisdictions handle similar type of situations, and what we have found is that many, very similar to the standards that I'll share with you from our city code, essentially defer to the state building code in terms of those standards for improvements within the right-of-way or over public sidewalks. This city code provision, chapter 99.11, currently exists. And this is how the city reviews proposals of structures over sidewalks. So you can see there are standards that relate to how far the structure shall be from the face of the curb, which is 18 inches. The city code establishes the minimum clearance from the finished grade of the sidewalk to any overhead structure, which is 10 feet. It talks about horizontal supports and the clearance for those support, which is 8.5 feet. The code makes separate provisions for signs that are placed over sidewalks and under the deck of canopies or structures such as that, establishing a minimum clearance of 9 feet. Column spacing is handled through the existing city code. The code talks about the top of foundations having to be below finished grade of the existing sidewalk to avoid any trip hazards, and so forth. So these are existing standards that the city already has in place to deal with structures that may provide cover over existing sidewalks. The challenge that we face is that within our zoning ordinance in 304.4, number 3, no part of any canopy, marquee, or awning shall extend into any public right-of-way. It's pretty clear under the current terms of the zoning ordinance that there is to be no encroachment within public right-of-way per that section. Likewise, as we look at advertising within the areas of the city, signs shall be located outside of public right-of-way. So we have two very clear standards within the zoning ordinance that currently do not allow improvements that would otherwise be permitted by the city code to occur. I talked about the Tier 1 and Tier 2, which is, you'll see in the text of the amendment, which I'll cover here briefly. We're proposing this to affect Tier 1 and Tier 2. That is the area of Peach on the map, which is the traditional central business district. And then and Tier 2 is the darker green just surrounding that central business district, Tier 1. So those are the two areas of the city, should an amendment be adopted where these new provisions would apply. And so those provisions that we propose are on the screen. They've been sent and you're included in your packets. And it says, notwithstanding those previous sections that I mentioned, objects and structures over sidewalks otherwise permitted by Chapter 99 shall be allowed to encroach into city-maintained public right-of-ways and with state approval, state-maintained public right-of-ways provided these three standards are met. The first, that any sidewalk within the public right-of-way is not rendered non-compliant with ADA standards by such object or structure. The second standard is that such improvement does not prevent the city and any other entitled entity from maintaining public infrastructure within that public right-of-way area. Lastly, we refer applicants to Chapter 99 for additional standards and note that those improvements shall be in strict compliance with existing Chapter 99 of the code. So that is the proposal that staff presents to try to clean up the situation and provide some flexibility to property owners within the downtown area. As we look to the city's land development plan for some guidance on whether these amendments are sensible and supported by the plan, we believe that there are three policies or objectives of the land development plan that generally support such an amendment. We don't find any that are obviously negative towards the request. Staff believes that this amendment does ensure that the investment can occur in a reasonable way in the downtown area, but also ensures that other requirements that are related to appearance and safety, public accessibility are met. So I'll point out that this amendment still preserves other standards of the zoning ordinance as it relates to building materials and design, things of that nature. It just allows that encroachment to occur. This amendment will defer to the city code regarding objects and structures over sidewalks. This amendment recognizes that buildings within that downtown area were developed with very limited separation from the street, and this amendment gives that flexibility to the property owner. And the land development plan's vision, as stated in the adopted plan, is to develop a unique and vibrant atmosphere setting in the center city area and set it apart from other districts. And we believe that adoption of this amendment would do just that. This proposal was presented to the planning board at its February meeting. They had some discussion and some questions. Ultimately, they forward this to you with a positive recommendation, and obviously staff does recommend approval of this amendment as well. There's two action items before council this evening. One is consideration of the consistency statement and obviously the text amendment request.
Sure.
Thank you.
This is the appointed time, advertised time for comments, public comments on the text amendment proposal. Is there anyone in the House that would like to address the council regarding these proposed text amendments?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, council members. I'm Mark Trollinger. I've spoken with you a couple of months back to back, so I'll keep my comments brief. Just simply want to say that I believe that this request enhances the architectural character of the city and the blocks that are included. It provides for a outdoor dining experience that enhances the quality of life for the citizens of Asheboro. Creates activity, outdoor interaction, which promotes a vibrant downtown experience, much like you might see on sidewalk cafes in Europe and so forth. So I think it's a good request. We still maintain ADA access. The areas that would come into play currently have wide enough sidewalks to allow this, and just appreciate your support. Thank you.
Any questions? Thanks, sir. Anyone else? Does the council have any questions of Mr. Nuttall?
Trevor, the text amendments are the same for Tier 1 and Tier 2, and we can do it under one.
Yes, sir, that's correct. Tier 1 and Tier 2 has identical language proposed.
Okay, council, we'll move to deliberative phase, and I will ask you for your thoughts.
Mayor, I move we approve the request to have the text amendments for Tier 1 and Tier 2 as presented by staff based on the consistency statement and the favorable recommendation of the planning board.
We have a motion to approve the text amendments as presented based on a consistency statement. Is this one action for both?
One action, but approving both the consistency statement and the requested text amendments, which is how I believe the clerk has interpreted the
All right.
motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Whoa. Raise your hand. Who was it? Charlie?
Katie got her hand
All
up.
right, Katie, you raised your hand. Okay. Second by Ms. Snuggs. Discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Ms. Carter? Thank you. All opposed? Motion carries unanimously. We are excited for your project. You've got a great builder working on it, and we're excited to see you get that finished and open, and interested to see how it's gonna look down there. So, thank you. Appreciate you taking your time on a busy Thursday night to come up here. All right. Item 9, Michael Roney, our Water Resource Director, you've got two issues. Item A is funding for proposed improvements at sewer lift station number 3.
Exciting stuff.
Good evening. Item A is really just an update on the project for the sanitary sewer lift station number 3 improvements project. Good news, we've got funding. Just want to give a brief history of the project. We completed an engineering study in September 2017 and presented that to you as the council.
Okay.
Yes.
Lift 3 is where?
Mine Street.
Gotcha.
Okay? So it serves the south end of town.
I thought so, but.
Everything from Walker Shoe to there. Okay?
It's well known in stormy weather to those of us in the
It is, DEQ is very familiar with our situation there. So, with that, we presented some options to you as the council, and you gave us direction to proceed. With that, we started applying for funding. We applied for Clean Water State Revolving Fund loan. Fall of 2018, didn't get enough points to get the project. Fall of 2019, didn't get enough points to get the project. Spring of 2020, didn't get enough points to get the project. You see where we're going. Finally, I did not reapply in the fall. I wanted to work on getting some more points to make this project eligible. Lo and behold, anytime you don't reapply, they roll it over to the fall application process. I was working on paperwork, talking with the state on applying for the spring of this year, and they said, well, hold on a minute. You've got funding, you just don't know it yet. So, with that, they have approved. The project budget we have to date is $2,730,240. The loan amount agreed upon with DWI is $2,705,240.
Do you have graphics on this?
I do. Thank you. There we go. That's the budget item there. That was actually in the application. Thank you, Mayor. With that, we are approved for the loan of the $2.7 million, 1.1% interest, which is a very low interest loan. The project is eligible for grant funding or principal forgiveness, but we don't meet the qualifications for that. We don't meet the criteria. So it is 100% loan for us. Let's see, next. This is the timetable. Of course, we started long before 2017. We knew we had a problem. We've been working on it for a while. With that, this is our calendar now. By July, we have to have an engineering report, the environmental assessment into the state. We've already got a lot of that done with the first report we did. We just need to add some things to it. That's underway. We had already selected an engineer. We brought that to you in May of 2019, and we've got a professional engineer working on the contract with us. With that, then we will get the approval for the engineering report. Then we've already started design work as well. I've already laid out a path for the new line to go for the new state. We've selected a potential site for a new station. So we will begin designing to that. And with that, we will submit our bid and design package to the state by June of 22. They will approve by October, and then we will be able to advertise and receive bids and hopefully award a contract in February of 2023. Still a long way out, but we're getting there.
You've been working on it.
And it's going to get the state, they're going to maybe be a little friendlier to us.
Let me ask you.
Yes.
You're replacing number 3.
We are going to relocate number 3 further down Little River to pick up more drainage area.
All right, and that'll take in the jail and the business park across
Yes.
the highway and.
This project doesn't exactly cover that. That could be in addition to the project to eliminate the pump station behind the county building,
But the
yes.
station will have that capacity.
It has the capacity, yes. And it needs to happen, but that'll be a future project.
Yeah.
And it's not a big project either.
And this
It's pretty simple.
station currently takes everything from the old Yates Ham and Shopping Center and Monroe Avenue and all of that. All the apartments back there. and
Monroe
then over
Avenue, Tot Hill,
B.B. Walker.
the airport, 49, Mat Lab. It's the workhorse.
Seems like we're 3 or 4 years past due on it.
We are. So it's been needed doing. We've been working on it for a while. So really, this is just an update. Hopefully, we will get the contract going in 2023. I'm hoping we get ahead of this schedule. We're well ahead of this schedule already, so we will keep our feet on the ground, running, working hard. Any questions on that project?
Nope. Item B,
Item B.
Forestry Services Contract.
Yes. We have, I'm just going to skip to the next slide. That is an outline of our property at the wastewater treatment plant in North Asheboro. We have 3 parcels up there. With that, it's 86.5 acres. We still have 58 acres that we aren't using for the plant. We've noticed for several years now, the timber is past mature. We're starting to lose a lot of timber. You drive into the plant every day, you see another tree over the road. So a lot of those aren't ours, but they're the woods around us. So I think it's time for us to do some forestation at this site. So we contacted Mr. Jerry Tugwell, and we have worked with him to come up with a professional services contract. He is very eager to get this project going. I think the timber market is really hot right now. So with that, you have a copy of the professional services contract in your packet. And all we need is for you to approve the execution of this agreement.
There's actually a resolution.
There is a
in
resolution? Okay, I did not know that.
Okay.
Okay.
I'll entertain a motion to adopt this resolution by reference.
Mayor, I move we adopt this resolution by reference.
I have a motion by Mr. Moffett. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second, Mr. Bell. Discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Ms. Carter? Aye. Thank you.
Opposed? No votes to oppose. A motion carries unanimously. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
This is the right time, I can tell you.
And I would encourage us to keep an eye on any and all of our lands, as we've had this discussion before. The timber is an active cash crop. You wouldn't dare leave corn sitting out in the field and watch it just die and go away, but people do that with trees all the time. There's a maturity, you're gonna lose them either way. You know, and it properly managed, it will be both a money maker and more attractive.
Thank you. Mr. Leonard, city engineer, you have a preliminary report for Dixieland Acres traffic study.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Good evening, council. You have in your packets a preliminary traffic calming study along with a map for the Dixieland Acres area. This enlarged map kind of shows a layout of what the recommendations from DRMP might be. These recommendations include the construction and, or placement of speed cushions, which are marked as A, a realigned intersection marked as B, traffic circles, which are smaller in size and don't necessarily require additional real estate, which are marked in C, and a median island, and there's just one of those is marked in D, right on the intersection of Pine Grove and Mark Avenue. The map shows the proposed locations of each, and there are a total of 13 speed cushions on 6 different streets, 6 realignments, 2 traffic circles, and 1 median island. As I said earlier, this traffic calming device, or these traffic calming devices, function in conjunction with one another, and will be and all will be required in order to achieve the desired effect. Engineering will be coordinating with Public Works staff with the installation of these devices in the coming months, and we'll keep council briefed on the progress.
All right. Is this map available here at City Hall for neighbors to look at?
Sure.
Okay. I'd just like to speak to the people on YouTube tonight. If you're watching and you're wondering what we're doing here, give you a little history. The Dixieland Acres has become a pass-through, a bypass for certain areas of Dixie Drive, and the residents over there have asked us many times over the last few years to try to do something to manage the traffic and to slow it down, and we hired a firm to do this study, and this is their recommendation. If you're concerned about the traffic patterns and the proposed improvements for Dixie Drive, you can see this map that I know you can't see it tonight, but the map is available for inspection here at City Hall, and it shows the combination of recommendations that will slow this traffic down coming through Dixie Drive and make it possibly less desirable as they cut through to Zoo Parkway. So just wanted to let people on YouTube watching us remote tonight understand what we were talking about.
Yes, sir.
Question.
Yes, sir.
You may have mentioned, I want to clarify, will any additional right-of-way need to be obtained for items C and D?
At this time, we don't believe so. We're gonna have to go out and take a look and just do a little surveying, but these traffic circles are, if you look in the left corner of that page, it's really small. I mean, it's 10 foot
Those
back.
are that intersection, and the grade is steep.
That's correct. We'll just have to see.
Run and start, you can jump over it.
Yeah. Probably can.
Coming down that
That's some
hill.
stuff we'll have to look at and
I mean,
see.
and I'm not, it was just a question, it's not
Yes.
a opposition, but it just looked like C and D. I don't
D
see how
over
they'll
there,
fit.
D at Pine Grove, that's narrow there. You may have the right of way, but.
We don't know if the right of way is already existing.
Yeah,
We're gonna have to do a little research.
Right away of what's
Okay.
established can,
That's correct.
All right.
very great.
Any other questions for the Dixieland Acres traffic study?
Sad but needed.
And it looks like a good plan. I mean,
Speed tables work in Chapel Hill, I can tell you
Okay,
There's gonna be a whole
You
bunch more
have,
speed cushions requested. There'll be a lot more speed cushions requested around town once word gets out that they're over in Dixieland.
and there are other places in town that probably need some speed control. As in the, what were they called?
Speed cushions.
Speed cushions, okay. All right, Mr. Leonard, you also have item 11, which is, resolution of intent to close some public right-of-way.
Yes, sir. So currently, Survey Carolina is making additional changes to the plat, or were making additional changes to the plat as requested by city staff. We did receive that at about 5 o'clock today, and we anticipate bringing this item to council at the April meeting.
Okay, thank you. No action for that, okay. Mr. Ogburn, you've got a de-annexation request.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, thank you. Yeah, we got the plat today at, right away at 5 o'clock, and the city attorney's a miracle worker, but not that much of a miracle worker, to draw up a meets and bounds description between 5:15 and 7 o'clock, and to have it right, checked, obviously. In your packets, Mayor, we have a de-annexation request from Mr. Donald Lanier to annex certain properties on the south side of Tot Hill Road. That property was brought in as part of the Tot Hill farm area annexation, which was, I think, about 2008, about 12 and a half years ago. You may recall we had to go to the General Assembly to get that annexation. That was, beyond our ability, the council's ability and scope. And you may remember at that time we talked about annexation, and the state changed all the annexation laws. Cities can annex, but they can't de-annex. So actually, we have to go to the General Assembly and get permission to de-annex a property. It's just a quirk of the law. So that's why this is resolution's in front of you tonight. The resolution explains that it lays out the meets and bounds description drawn by the city attorney, and it lays out the rationale why we're de-annexing it and the fact that we have to get General Assembly approval. The process from here, should the council approve this resolution by the prepared by the city attorney, that we would recommend. If you look on that plat too, you see it's mostly like a stream bed, and we don't want to police and fire that anyway. If there's a crime down there, we want the sheriff's department to take care of it. We got enough to do. That being said, if the council approves it tonight, I will send email to our local delegation, to the General Assembly. Now, we've missed the deadline in the House and the North Carolina House and North Carolina Senate for local bills to be introduced. We'll ask if we can't get it attached to one, or they may have filed a blank bill, just Randolph County only. So the mayor and I will work through that tomorrow and next week as needed. So barring no questions, we would, on this undeveloped property, obviously, we would ask the council to adopt by reference this resolution drawn by the city attorney to de-annex certain properties located on the south side of Tot Hill Road.
May I have a motion to approve by reference the resolution of intent to permanently, de-annex certain territory located on the south side of Tot Hill Road?
Mayor, I move we adopt a resolution requesting the removal of those portions as enumerated in the resolution from the city limits, and requesting the General Assembly take action.
I have a motion by Mr. Bell. May I have a second?
Second.
Second, Mr. Swears. Discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Ms. Carter? Aye. Thank you. All opposed? Motion carries, once again unanimously. Thank you, Mr. Ogburn. And the last business item is you will update the council on COVID-19 pandemic.
So, Mayor, the COVID-19 pandemic continues. There've been 13,262 cases in Randolph County and 201 deaths. There may have been, I think, about 204 about a day. That's very tragic. There's been enough deaths now that we all know somebody who's been touched by it. It's in our workforce. We've had it in our workforce. Another outbreak Monday. We scrambled to get the garbage picked up again Monday. In Public Works, our whole command team at one time was sick in the police department. It's just or exposed. It's just. I think we're about 8.5% now positivity test rate in Randolph County. Ideally, you'd like to get down to about 3%. They've announced several updates regarding the COVID-19 vaccine in this state. Frontline workers are eligible March the 3rd. Now, that's the rest of us that in government service here at the city who have not already been through the process. We have not required our employees to take it yet. I don't know of any public agency in North Carolina that has, but we're starting to see more of our employees taking it voluntarily. It also moves up people with higher risk. That includes, as you see right there, dementia, neurologic conditions, Down syndrome, et cetera, and long-term care. Those are long-term care people that are in long-term care for intellectual and development disabilities. We continue to have an impact on municipal operations, like I said. This pandemic has really exposed, and I tell you this every year, one of these days maybe we'll get this fixed. It's going to be like Pump Station 3. I promise you we're still working on it. We just got to find somewhere new for water billing. Why do I say that? Well, that's water billing now. We've jammed every box in there. We did get the screens up, the plexiglass, but we lost an employee. We're only down to 2 employees down there. We can't get either one of them sick, and plus they have kids, so we'll continue to operate. We are moving the automated pay station behind here to the new North Ashburn Police Department for more traffic space, and the staff has begun actively looking for a new place for headquarters for water billing, and ideally we'd make it whole customer service. You can go in there, get new taps ordered, turn off, turns on, our water meter readers, we won't have to find them all over town, all that. Debbie and her team do a good job managing the space, but I've told you lots of times, I know Linda was in retail banking, nobody puts their customer service but government in the basement, right? It still looks like a fire department. The fire inspection guys have volunteered to get back down there. They probably want to put the brass pole back up too, but Steve Pay won't let them do that. City manager may be going up and down on it. That also, I said last month, our need for a 3rd fire station for our citizens watching on YouTube. Fire Station 1, our headquarters, the one on South Church Street, is actually 2 stations in one building. We run the east side of town and west side of town out of that. We have split that station in half, literally. This was the training room. It is now the 2nd day room. So those recliners there are for them to officers, firefighters to work after the work day. Our work day is a 24-hour work day, 8 to 8, but our training day is 08 to 1700, 5 o'clock. So post 5 o'clock, they can't go anywhere, but they can stay there. I was down there this morning. They had a Rachel Ray on before, and it was about time to start cooking lunch down there. So
looks like where old recliners go to die.
That's where our sanitation picks them up, right? This is Deputy Chief. On the left, on your left, with the Christmas tree, is Deputy Chief Cockman's office. 3 people are in there now. Where the firefighter is standing up, that was the secretary's office. She's now working from home. It gets better. Yes, that's the Christmas tree because we don't have any storage down there anymore. This is a bathroom that's now commandeered to be the 2nd prep area for our kitchen. We have to separate our kitchen. And you'll note in that That white refrigerator and that white stove is in the training room also. So our two shifts are split down there. You may have seen Thomasville and our surrounding, some of our sister cities got a whole shifts of firefighters. We don't have any extras I think we're overstrength, maybe one firefighter beyond our normal allotment. We also have opened the transfer station on Presnell Street back. One of the ironies of and I can't explain this, of the pandemic is the landfill traffic's bigger than ever. So we were stuck in traffic a lot. We've opened our transfer station back up. We've promoted Rusty Turner's now our transfer station manager, and he's out there full-time now. And so now your garbage and recyclables is not going directly to the landfill, it's going to Presnell Street. But Walker's been in the sanitation business, he'll tell you, a moving truck gathers no moss, it also gathers no revenue. So we need a moving or parked. Fortunately, we've cross-trained everybody up public services. Remember, two and a half years ago, we merged, and they're doing a great job up there. One of the issues about our business is we work in shifts, teams, platoons. So we try to stay masked up, but when you're in a hole fixing a water break, did you go out of water this morning?
No.
Regency in North Ashburn, my buddy Kurt Biter lives up there. He called me this morning, water was shooting about 40 feet in the air. Got good pressure up there. When you're down in there trying to fix it and you're elbow to elbow, it's hard to keep the mask on.
I did have one of those about a month and a half ago, and it was just amazing when I looked out from my front porch, and it didn't affect me because it's below where my water comes in. But I went out there and looked one time because they had the backhoe out there digging, and after a while, all I could see was the top of a guy's head. He was even with the street. So he was that deep in a hole.
Yeah, it's hard work.
Yeah.
Those folks work hard. So we're now going to start offering COVID testing at our employees' wellness clinic up at the Public Services Department. That includes for all the city employees, retirees, and dependents on the insurance plan. That's about 550 folks. We're also getting the vaccine. I don't know which vaccine will be available for our employees through the wellness clinic. Our healthcare provider, 5 Points, is getting that. We're on the list to get it. We have a lot of employees that went today and yesterday going. I've been, other employees have been. I don't think I'll talk out of school that Miss Carter gets her second one tomorrow. So, oh, she got it. Okay, so she can be with us at the April meeting. So we're trying to move forward.
This availability of this, will this follow the same tiered guidelines by the state?
No, if we get it, if you're one of those 500, you can get up there and get it.
Cool.
We're all mission essential. Yeah, that's what I say. So Mayor, I'd like to just, the day-to-day operation of the city government continues, COVID or not. I mentioned the finance budget cycle. I'd also mention tonight Captain Wagner, David Wagner, who most of y'all, last time y'all saw him, he's Lieutenant David Wagner, and was in street clothes, the head of our CID. We promoted him. Congratulations to Captain Wagner. We could not have a ceremony and all like we normally do. That's one of the things we have to drop for COVID, and we'll say goodbye in about 6 or 7 weeks to Captain Thompson.
Oh, no.
Who will go join the retired roles list. Well, if I don't lose the paperwork, we'll let you retire. I think he went to go see Debbie today. Yeah. Yeah, so he's got his time all calculated and all, so that the other life cycle of the city, the employee base continues its life cycle too. We've got great people moving up, and we're losing some great people at the top.
Losing a great experience.
Great experience, yeah.
Most of you probably noticed in the paper this week that Randolph County was, and I've toyed with this, upgraded or downgraded to a yellow county from a red. Is that a upgrade?
Yes.
Okay. we've been upgraded from a red county, COVID-wise, to a yellow county this week. So, am I right?
Yes.
Okay, that's good news. We're headed in the right direction. We're down around 6% now,
About 8%.
8%. So, just encourage people to keep wearing their mask and keep trying to be safe and socially distanced and conscious of your surroundings.
Yes.
I have friends that said it was just like a flu or not quite as bad as a flu. And I've had friends say it's the worst thing they've ever been through. And I have personal friends that have passed away from it. So it's nothing to laugh about or to not be serious about. So,
That's all the staff has, Mayor.
all right. Mr. Ogburn has a birthday on the 18th. Happy birthday. And Mr. Bell, Councilman Bell, has a birthday on the 21st. Happy birthday. That's why you two guys are such close friends.
That's it.
Second generation.
I like to average our ages. It makes me feel better.
All right.
No comment.
And most of you are aware that the Lady Comets from Asheboro High School, the girls' basketball team of Lady Comets, Asheboro High School, have made it through a undefeated season in basketball. They are playing Saturday night for the state 3A championship. They are the Western champions. And one more game.
One more game.
They're 15-0, I believe. And
That's right, yeah.
they have a great attitude. In the paper tonight, Donna McDowell said, the only thing that's gonna beat us is ourselves. And so, the community is planning a send-off. The tournament game, championship game is 6 o'clock at Providence Grove High School. Chosen when they realized that, when North Carolina High School Athletic Association realized they couldn't do it at Chapel Hill like they usually do, or Reynolds Coliseum like they usually do, they started looking for a big high school gymnasium centrally located, and Dr. Gainey provided Providence Grove and Wheatmore. So some of the championship games will be at Wheatmore, some will be at Providence Grove. They're playing at 6 o'clock Saturday night, Providence Grove. Gets to the point. 4:45 Saturday afternoon, they will be leaving Asheboro High School on their activity bus. Their plan is to come down Park Street and turn on Sunset and go to Fayetteville Street, go North Fayetteville Street to Old Liberty Road and go to Providence Grove High School. The community is planning a big send-off, and they're asking people to, with proper social distancing, gather along the sides of Sunset and North Fayetteville Street to cheer them on. Well, give them well wishes and let them know their fans are behind them. And it is a real disappointment that they have this fabulous undefeated season. They're going to the state championship, and everybody in Asheboro cannot go to the ball game to watch them. So, sporttone.net will have it broadcast. It'll be a big event, but I'm encouraging everybody to try to come uptown. The fire department will, I think they're planning to have their fire trucks out, and maybe we can get a police escort coming through town with a police car, and we want to do our part to let these young ladies know that all of Asheboro is behind them. We love them and support them and wish them well.
What time is supposed to be downtown?
4:45, they're leaving the high school.
Okay.
So I would say if you're downtown on Sunset by 4:40 or so, 4:45, you probably won't miss it. And this is all over social media. I posted yesterday or the day before, and I think it's been shared 60 or 70 times. So, and everybody else in town's talking about it too. So, if you can, come out, tell your neighbors, and let's see. Streetery on March 20th from 11 to 9.
Mayor, I'm assuming, I've not seen anything on your Kiwanis Pancake Day. I guess that'll be this fall again.
Well, yeah, they talked about doing drive-through only and decided it just wasn't quite the right time. So, we're postponed for another 6 months. And that really hurts the bottom line, the project fund, and all of the great things they do with the money they raise.
And I do, once again, I remind the council, I think I remind you every year in the budget, but the Kiwanis are the largest supporter of our recreation programs and our partner at Prairie Park.
And remember what Joel was telling us, the 12th at 1 o'clock at Bicentennial Park for the mobile makerspace.
It's really important, what Joel's saying and Councilmember Moffitt's saying, there is a real skills gap. There's unemployed people that aren't hired, and there's employers that need folks. Well, why doesn't that match? There's a skill set gap. And it's our average wage in Randolph's $37.5, something like that. That's, you heard Mr. Moffitt said they hire at $50,000 day one without finishing their education and their training. You know, if you can get welding, if you can get machining, if you can get the 3D printers, those are real hard skill sets. Electrician, plumber, those carry you a long way.
If you haven't got a specific purpose, the last thing you need is a $100,000 college degree.
That's
Okay. I'm not sure I've got anything else for the calendar. John, you know anything?
No, sir.
Anybody? All right, we'll start down here with Miss Snuggs. I hope David's gonna be better. David's under the weather and we're praying for him.
Thank you.
So what do you have for the benefit of the crowd tonight?
Well, I just thank everyone for calling and asking about David and also about me. I was shocked when I got a phone and I answered and it was the mayor to see what he could do for me. But I'm well and I'm doing well, and I just ask that you all pray for my son.
We certainly will continue to.
Yeah, he's at home. He had to go to see his primary doctor here today, and he had to go to Winston-Salem to see his cancer doctor also today. But my problem is that being a parent that he won't talk. He won't talk to me, so.
That's probably not the first time. That's what kids do. So many. All right, Mr. Moffitt?
Wish everybody a March happy birthdays, St. Patrick's Day, and I believe it'll be post-Easter before we get back together again. So
It'll be after Easter.
Lots of activities, lots of streeteries. Hope to see everybody Saturday afternoon.
It'll be
Anyway,
after Easter.
amongst all of this, you know, some bright spots and good news.
Yep, where you going with Easter?
Probably up here.
Ms. Redding?
It's nice to actually have things on the agenda for us to do other than come to the council. It's nice to have the streetery. It's nice to have a potential parade. It's nice to do that. I was lucky enough to get a vaccine last week. And I don't think until I had it that I realized the cloud that you have over you when you just thinking about the possibilities. So I encourage anyone who has the opportunity. I had minimal side effects at all. And I just encourage you to consider getting that vaccine.
Okay, both of them.
Mr. Bell?
Well, the downside of having COVID is you have COVID, but the upside is you have some antibodies. So I feel fortunate in that regard, and I look forward to the time that I can actually get the true vaccine and encourage everybody to, when it's available and you have that access, to take advantage of it.
I actually got a call from the hospital the other day asking me if I'd had one, because they had some extras. They were scrambling around trying to get rid of all they had.
You go get one?
I already had it. I'm good. I'm
You
old.
can call us.
I'm old and high risk. Mr. Burks.
Go Lady Blue comments.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
That's hard for a Wildcat to say.
Mr. Swears.
Just, again, we've heard it mentioned in here before, about the compliments of our city planners, our, building inspector and everything else. I had a gentleman wanting to start a business here in town. Sat down, we talked. I said, the first thing you need to do is you need to go see Trevor and get everything squared away with that. He did that. He talked to him today, stopped by, talked to him out on the street, and he said, things are going great. The city people were helpful. They were kind. They put in the right direction. He said he came here from another state, and he said they had to hire a ombudsman to go to the planning department to talk to somebody, just because he said there's so many different people to talk to. So he said this has been a joy and a pleasure, and he looks forward to opening his business sometime, probably next month or so.
Great.
So
Always good to hear. Ms. Carter, do you have anything for the benefit of the crowd?
Just that I sure am happy to see the sunshine.
Wasn't it a glorious day? I was outside on the forklift all day.
It changes a lot of people's attitudes when it comes out every once in a while.
Yep. Well, we're glad you've been able to join us tonight, and look forward to when you can come join us in person again. Glad you have your vaccine. Trevor, it's good to see you. Hope you're doing better. And staff, thank you so much. We will, if there's nothing else, John? We'll adjourn.